My mother-in-law told my husband, push her down the stairs and make it look like an accident. I had the baby monitor recording everything. Welcome back, family. If you haven't already, subscribe and say hi in the comments. We'd love to know where you're watching from. With that, let's continue today's story. The baby monitor crackled to life at 2:47 a.m., but it wasn't my daughter crying that woke me. It was my mother-in-law's voice, cold and calculated, drifting through the speaker. Henry, listen to me. That woman is destroying our family. You need to handle this before she takes everything from you. I froze in bed, my hand instinctively moving to my swollen belly. 8 months pregnant with our second child, and I was listening to Beatrice plot in my own home. My husband's voice responded, tired, conflicted. Mama, I can't keep having this conversation. You can and you will, Beatrice hissed. She's turned you against me. Against your own blood. Remember who raised you when your daddy left. Remember who sacrificed everything. I grabbed my phone, hands trembling, and started recording the baby monitor. This wasn't the first time Beatrice had poisoned Henry against me, but something in her tone tonight felt different. Darker. More urgent. I've been patient, baby. But that girl is spending your money, probably cheating while you work those double shifts. She trapped you with that first baby and now another one. My heart hammered against my ribs. We'd been married for 4 years. Together for 6. I'd loved Henry since we met at my cousin's barbecue, his smile wide and genuine, his laugh infectious. But Beatrice had never accepted me. Never thought I was good enough for her precious only son. Mama, Judith is my wife, Henry said, but his voice lacked conviction. That weak tone I'd been hearing more and more lately. The sound of a man being slowly, methodically broken down. Your wife. Beatrice's laugh was bitter, sharp enough to cut. That woman isn't your wife. She's an anchor drowning you. Look at this house, Henry. Look at how she's spending your money on useless furniture, expensive groceries. My boy deserves better than this. Through the monitor I heard movement. They were in the nursery right above my bedroom. I'd gone downstairs an hour ago to sleep on the couch, my back aching too much to stay in bed. Henry's heavy footsteps paced the floor. We talked about the budget, Mama. Judith isn't overspending. She's got you fooled. Beatrice's voice dropped to a whisper, venomous and deliberate. I've been watching, baby. That man who comes to fix things when you're at work? They're too friendly. The way she dresses when she knows he's coming? She's playing you for a fool just like your father played me. My stomach turned. She was talking about Jerome, our 68-year-old landlord who'd fixed our dishwasher twice last month. A grandfather of 5 who barely spoke beyond polite greetings. That's Mr. Jerome, Mama. Henry started, but Beatrice cut him off. I don't care who she says he is. I know what I saw. And I know what needs to happen. The silence that followed felt suffocating. I held my breath, phone recording every word, my daughter Amara sleeping peacefully upstairs, unaware her grandmother was dismantling her family. What are you saying? Henry finally asked, his voice barely audible. I'm saying accidents happen, Beatrice replied slowly, each word deliberate and chilling. Pregnant women fall downstairs all the time. Tragic, but it happens. And then you'd be free. I couldn't breathe. My vision blurred with tears as Beatrice's words echoed through the baby monitor. You're not serious, Henry said, but he didn't sound horrified. He sounded curious. Considering. That realization hit me harder than her actual suggestion. I'm dead serious, Beatrice continued. Think about it, baby. You'd get the insurance money. You could move back home with me. We'd raise Amara together the right way. No one would question it. She's clumsy anyway, always tripping over her own feet. She wasn't wrong about that. I'd twisted my ankle twice during this pregnancy, my center of gravity completely off. But hearing her weaponize my vulnerability made bile rise in my throat. That's murder, Mama. Henry's voice cracked slightly. I can't. It's not murder if it's an accident, Beatrice interrupted smoothly like she'd rehearsed this. You just wait until she's coming down those stairs tomorrow morning. She's always rushing around, not paying attention. One little push. One moment. And all your problems disappear. My hands shook so violently I almost dropped the phone. This woman had eaten at my table. Had held my daughter. Had smiled in my face while plotting my death. I wanted to scream, to run upstairs and confront them both. But something stopped me. Some instinct for survival I didn't know I possessed. I need to think, Henry said finally. Not, absolutely not. Not, get out of my house. Just, I need to think. That's when I knew. The man I'd married, the man I'd loved, was actually considering his mother's suggestion. Don't think too long, Beatrice warned. The longer she's around, the more complicated things get. Do it soon, Henry. Do it for us. Their footsteps moved toward the stairs. I quickly locked my phone and shoved it under the couch cushion, pretending to sleep as they passed through the living room. Morning came too fast. I hadn't slept, just laid there replaying every word, every terrible implication. When Henry came downstairs at 6:30 for his shift at the factory, I was in the kitchen making coffee, my movements mechanical. You're up early, he said, kissing my forehead like nothing had happened. Like his mother hadn't proposed my murder hours earlier. I studied his face, searching for signs of the man I'd married. His warm brown eyes looked tired, shadowed with something I couldn't name. Guilt? Calculation? Couldn't sleep, I replied, my voice steady despite the terror coursing through me. Baby's been kicking. Want me to stay home? The offer sounded genuine, concerned. If I hadn't heard that conversation, I might have believed it. No, we need the overtime, I said, pouring his coffee exactly how he liked it. Light cream, 2 sugars. 4 years of habit. Is your mama still sleeping? His jaw tightened slightly. She's awake. Probably coming down soon. We stood in awkward silence, the elephant in the room crushing all the air out of my lungs. Did he know I knew? Was he planning to do it today? Judith, he started then stopped. Yeah. My heart raced. Nothing. Just, be careful today, okay? The stairs, I mean. You've been dizzy lately. The hair on my arms stood up. Was that concern or setup? I'm always careful, I managed, stepping back slightly. He grabbed his lunch bag and keys, paused at the door. I love you, he said, but it sounded like an apology. Or goodbye. Love you too, I whispered to his retreating back. The second his truck pulled away, I retrieved my phone and checked the recording. Crystal clear. Every word. Beatrice appeared in the kitchen doorway 10 minutes later, dressed immaculately as always, her silver hair perfectly styled. Good morning, Judith, she said with that fake smile I'd grown to hate. Morning, Beatrice. Beatrice moved through my kitchen like she owned it, opening cabinets, reorganizing my spice rack with that disapproving click of her tongue. You really should keep things more organized, she commented, her back to me. A messy kitchen reflects a messy mind. I gripped my coffee mug tighter, biting back the response burning my throat. Instead, I watched her, really watched her, trying to reconcile this elegant woman with the monster who'd suggested murdering me. I'll work on that, I said flatly. She turned, eyes narrowing slightly at my tone. You feeling all right? You look pale. Just tired. Pregnancy insomnia. I moved toward the stairs, testing her. Would she follow? Suggest I go up alone? Let me make you some tea, Beatrice offered, her voice dripping with false concern. Something calming. You're carrying my grandchild after all. We need to take care of you. The irony was suffocating. I watched her bustle around, pulling out my good teapot, the one Henry bought me for our anniversary. She hummed softly, a gospel song she always sang in church. The same woman who attended service every Sunday had casually planned my death last night. Beatrice, I started, my voice careful. Can I ask you something? She paused, kettle in hand. Of course, sweetheart. The endearment made my skin crawl. Do you think I'm a good wife to Henry? The question hung between us. She set the kettle down slowly, deliberately. Why would you ask that? Just wondering. You've seemed distant lately. I was prodding, seeing how far I could push. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. I think you're exactly what Henry chose. And we all have to live with our choices. The threat was subtle but unmistakable. She poured hot water over the tea bag, the steam rising between us like a wall. Chamomile, she announced. Good for the baby. Good for stress. She held out the cup and I hesitated. Would she really? It's not poisoned, she laughed, reading my expression. I'm not a monster, Judith. My phone buzzed around noon. Keisha, Henry's younger sister. The only family member who'd ever truly welcomed me. Girl, we need to talk, her text read. Coffee shop on 5th? Now. I told Beatrice I had a prenatal checkup, grabbed my keys and drove across town with shaking hands. Keisha was waiting in the corner booth, her expression grave. At 26, she looked more like Henry than Beatrice. Same warm eyes, same quick smile. But today she wasn't smiling. "Mama called me this morning," she said as soon as I sat down. "Started talking crazy about you and Henry, about how the family needs to stick together." "What did she say exactly?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. Keisha leaned forward. "She asked me if I'd noticed anything strange about you. If I thought you were faithful to Henry." Girl, I shut that down immediately, but... He paused, studying my face. "What's going on, Judith?" "Mama's been obsessed lately and Henry has been different. Distant." I made a decision then. I pulled out my phone, found the recording and slid it across the table. "Listen to this. All of it." I watched Keisha's face transform as she listened. Confusion, disbelief, then pure horror. When it finished, tears streamed down her cheeks. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Oh my God, Judith, that's my mother. That's Henry. I can't." Her hands trembled as she pushed the phone back. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet," I admitted. "But I needed someone else to hear it. To know I'm not crazy." "You need to leave," Keisha said urgently. "Today. Right now. Come stay with me in Devon. Bring Amara, grab your important documents and get out." Part of me wanted to run. But another part, the part that had listened to my husband waver when told to kill me, that part wanted justice. "I can't just leave," I said slowly. "Where would I go? How would I support 2 kids alone?" Keisha grabbed my hands across the table. "Judith, she told him to push you down the stairs. My brother didn't immediately refuse. Do you understand what that means?" I did. God help me, I did. "I need proof of more than just that conversation," I said, the plan forming as I spoke. "I need to document everything. Pattern of behavior. Threats. Maybe financial records showing how she's been controlling him." "You're thinking like a lawyer," Keisha observed. "My roommate from college, Tasha, she's a family law attorney now. Let me call her." Within an hour, we were sitting in Tasha's office downtown, the recording playing through professional speakers. Tasha Richards listened to the recording 3 times, her expression growing darker with each replay. She was a petite woman with sharp eyes and an even sharper mind, her office walls covered in certificates and awards. "This is admissible," she said finally, her voice clinical. "It's legal to record in your own home, especially when it concerns threats to your safety. But Judith, this is just the beginning. We need more." He pulled out a legal pad and started writing. "First, you document everything. Every interaction, every threat, every attempt at manipulation. Keep that baby monitor recording. Get cameras if you can do it subtly." "I can't afford cameras," I admitted, shame heating my cheeks. "I'm not working right now because of the high-risk pregnancy, and Henry controls our accounts." Tasha and Keisha exchanged glances. "We'll handle the cameras," Keisha said firmly. "Devon's got connections. We'll get you hidden ones, professional grade." "Second," Tasha continued, "you need copies of all financial documents. Bank statements, credit cards, mortgage papers, insurance policies. Everything. Does Henry have a large life insurance policy on you?" The question made my blood run cold. I don't know. "He handles all that." "Find out," Tasha instructed. "Because if Beatrice mentioned insurance money, there's probably a policy you don't know about." My mind reeled. How had my life become a crime documentary? Third, and this is crucial, you cannot let them know you suspect anything. You have to play the role of oblivious wife until we have everything we need for a restraining order and, if necessary, criminal charges. "Criminal charges?" I echoed. "She didn't actually do anything yet." "Conspiracy to commit murder is a crime," Tasha explained. "And depending on what else we find, there could be financial exploitation, coercion, possibly more. But we need an airtight case because families are messy. Judges are reluctant to separate mothers from children without overwhelming evidence." "What about Henry?" I asked quietly. "He's my husband. Father of my children." Tasha's expression softened slightly. "That's up to you ultimately. But Judith, he didn't say no. He said he'd think about it. That's conspiracy. At minimum, he's an accessory to a plot to kill you." The words hung in the air, stark and undeniable. "I need you to be very careful," Tasha continued. If Beatrice suspects you know anything, she might accelerate her plan. Or change tactics entirely. She suggested tea this morning, I said, suddenly remembering. Made a point of saying it wasn't poisoned. Keisha's eyes went wide. Please tell me you didn't drink it. I pretended to sip it, then poured it out when she wasn't looking. Devon installed 5 hidden cameras throughout my house that evening while Beatrice was at her weekly bingo game. Tiny things no bigger than buttons placed in smoke detectors and picture frames. She'll never spot these, he assured me, his hands steady despite the gravity of what we were doing. They're motion-activated cloud storage. Even if she destroys them, the footage is saved. Henry came home at 11 that night, exhausted from his double shift. I'd put Amara to bed hours ago, made dinner, played the dutiful wife. Mama leave? He asked, dropping his keys on the counter. Yeah, about an hour ago. I watched him carefully, studying every micro-expression. He moved to the fridge, grabbed a beer, and I saw it, the slight tremor in his hands. You okay? I asked, my voice gentle. Testing. He took a long drink before answering. Just tired, baby. Work's been brutal. Henry. I moved closer, placed my hand on his arm. Talk to me. Something's been off lately. Are we okay? For a moment his mask slipped. I saw fear in his eyes and something else. Guilt. We're fine, he said, but it sounded hollow. Why wouldn't we be? Your mama's been here a lot. More than usual. His jaw clenched. She's just trying to help with the baby coming. Is that what she calls it? The question slipped out before I could stop it. His eyes snapped to mine, searching. What does that mean? Nothing, I backtracked quickly. I just mean sometimes I feel like she's taking over. Like I can't do anything right in my own home. Relief flooded his features. You're being paranoid. Mama's she's protective. You know how she is. I knew exactly how she was. A manipulative woman who'd raised a son too weak to stand up to her. A woman currently plotting my death. Come to bed, I said instead, taking his hand. You need rest. That night, I lay awake beside my husband, wondering if he was planning which morning would be best. Tomorrow? Next week? The cameras captured everything the next day. Beatrice arrived at 9 a.m. sharp, letting herself in with the key Henry had given her against my wishes. I watched from my phone, sitting in my car at the grocery store parking lot, as she moved through my house. Opening drawers. Reading mail. She went into Henry's office, the spare room where he kept his computer and important papers. 45 minutes she spent in there. When I got home, she was in the kitchen acting innocent. Just tidying up, she said brightly. But I'd seen the footage. She'd photographed documents, been on my computer, gone through my purse. That evening, while Henry showered and Beatrice watched TV with Amara, I snuck into his office. My hands shook as I opened his filing cabinet, searching for what I feared I'd find. There, in a folder labeled Important Documents, was a life insurance policy. On me. For $750,000. Taken out 3 months ago. I'd never signed anything. The signature on the document looked like mine, but I knew with certainty I'd never seen this paper before. My vision blurred. 750,000 reasons for Henry to listen to his mother. 750,000 reasons I might not survive this pregnancy. I photographed every page with my phone, hands trembling so badly I had to retake several shots. Then I found more. A second mortgage on the house I didn't know about. Credit cards in my name with balances I'd never charged. Bank statements showing transfers to Beatrice's account. Thousands of dollars over the past year. Henry had been stealing from us. From me. Funding his mother while I clipped coupons and bought generic brands. Guilty every time I spent $20. The betrayal cut deeper than the murder plot. This was systematic. Calculated. Long-term. The shower shut off. I quickly replaced everything, closed the cabinet, and slipped out just as Henry emerged from the bathroom. Hey baby, he said, toweling his hair. What are you doing in here? Looking for the checkbook, I lied smoothly. Need to pay the electric bill. It's in the kitchen drawer, he said, but his eyes narrowed slightly. Suspicious. Found it, I said, holding up my phone like I'd been texting. Keisha reminded me where I put it. That night I sent everything to Tasha. Every photo, every document, every piece of evidence of fraud and conspiracy. Her response came within minutes. This is enough. We file tomorrow. Pack a bag tonight. Be ready to leave at a moment's notice. But I didn't leave. Because the next morning, Beatrice made her move. I was coming down the stairs, carefully as always, one hand on the railing, one on my belly. Amara was with Keisha, a playdate I'd arranged deliberately. Beatrice was at the bottom of the stairs, and Henry had just left for work. Or so I thought. Judith, Beatrice called up sweetly. Can you come down? I need to talk to you about something. Every instinct screamed danger. But I'd planned for this. The cameras were recording. My phone was recording in my pocket. Tasha knew where I was. I descended slowly, watching Beatrice's face. She smiled, but her eyes were cold. When I reached the halfway point, I saw Henry standing in the hallway shadow. He'd never left. Henry. My voice came out steady despite the terror flooding my veins. I thought you left for work. He stepped into view, and the man standing there was a stranger. His face was hard, resolved. We need to talk, Judith. About what? I stayed on the stairs, hand gripping the railing tighter. Beatrice moved to block the bottom. I was trapped between them. About us, Henry said. About this marriage. About everything. Okay, I said carefully. Let me come down and we can talk like adults. No, Beatrice interjected. You stay right where you are, girl. It's time you heard some truths. My heart hammered. This was it. The moment they'd been planning. Henry, I addressed my husband directly. What's going on? You're scaring me. Something flickered in his eyes. Doubt. Hesitation. Mama says you've been going through my things, he said. That you've been talking to lawyers. Planning to leave me and take my children. The accusation was so absurd I almost laughed. Almost. That's not true. Who told you that? I saw it myself, Beatrice lied smoothly. On your computer. Emails to divorce attorneys. Plans to take Amara across state lines. You're trying to destroy this family. That's insane, I said, but I was watching Henry. He wanted to believe me. I could see it in his face, the war between his mother's poison and whatever love remained. Show me the emails then, I challenged Beatrice. If you saw them, show Henry right now. She hesitated just a fraction of a second, but it was enough. They're deleted, she recovered quickly. You covered your tracks. But I know what I saw. No, I said clearly, loudly, knowing the cameras were recording. You're lying. Just like you've been lying to Henry for months. Just like you lied when you told him I was cheating with Mr. Jerome. Just like you lied about me overspending when you're the one taking money from our accounts. Beatrice's mask slipped completely. You little. And just like you lied when you told Henry to push me down these stairs and make it look like an accident. The silence was deafening. Henry went pale. What? For nights ago, I continued, my voice shaking but determined. 2:47 a.m. You told Henry that pregnant women fall downstairs all the time. That he should push me. That with the insurance money he could be free. She's making it up, Beatrice said quickly, but panic crept into her voice. She's delusional. Pregnancy hormones. I have a recording, I said, pulling my phone from my pocket. Every word. You want to hear it, Henry? Want to hear your mama plot to kill your wife and unborn child? Henry stared at his mother. Mama? Tell me she's lying. Beatrice's face twisted with rage. That ungrateful witch has poisoned you against me. I didn't need to poison him against you, I said, my hand steady as I held up my phone. You did that yourself. I pressed play. Beatrice's voice filled the stairwell, cold and calculated. Pregnant women fall downstairs all the time. One little push. One moment. And all your problems disappear. Henry stumbled backward like he'd been shot. Oh God, Mama, what did you do? She edited it, Beatrice insisted desperately. It's fake, baby. That technology exists now. She's framing me because she wants to isolate you from your family. There's more, I said, my voice harder now. The life insurance policy you forged my signature on, Henry. $750,000. The second mortgage. The credit cards in my name. I started descending the stairs slowly, and Beatrice backed away, her confident facade crumbling. The money you've been transferring to your mother for a year while I've been eating ramen and feeling guilty about buying our daughter new shoes. Judith, I can explain, Henry started, but I held up my hand. No. You don't get to explain. You get to listen. I reached the bottom of the stairs and Beatrice tried to move past me toward the door. Don't, I warned. The police are already on their way. Tasha called them the moment I sent the signal. It was a bluff, but Beatrice froze. This is ridiculous, she spat. You can't prove anything. Actually, I can. Keisha's voice came from the doorway. She walked in with Devon, both of them filming on their phones. We've been recording since you blocked the stairs, Mama. We heard everything. Beatrice's face contorted with pure hatred. You're siding with this outsider over your own blood? You're not my blood, Keisha said coldly. My blood wouldn't try to murder a pregnant woman. My blood wouldn't manipulate my brother into becoming an accomplice to murder. Henry collapsed onto the couch, head in his hands. I wouldn't have, but you didn't stop her, I said quietly. When she told you to kill me, you said you'd think about it. I wasn't really considering it, he insisted, looking up with tears streaming down his face. I was shocked. I didn't know what to say. You didn't say no, I replied. That's all you had to say, Henry. Well, instead you said you'd think about it. And then you kept your mother's plan a secret from me. You let her stay in this house, around me, around Amara, knowing what she'd suggested. I was going to tell you, he sobbed. I was just trying to figure out how. By forging insurance documents? By stealing money? By setting up the perfect financial motive? My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. When exactly were you planning to tell me, Henry? Before or after the fall? The sirens approached outside. Real ones this time. Tasha had actually called them. The police took statements from everyone. They arrested Beatrice for conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, and identity theft. Henry wasn't arrested that day, but the detective made it clear they'd be investigating his involvement. I filed for divorce the next morning. Tasha secured an emergency restraining order keeping both Beatrice and Henry away from me and Amara. We moved into Keisha's spare room and I tried to rebuild a life from ashes. The trial took 8 months. Beatrice was convicted on most charges and sentenced to 12 years in prison. Henry took a plea deal, 3 years probation, mandatory counseling, and he had to pay back every dollar he'd stolen. The divorce was finalized when I was 6 months along. My baby girl, Justice, because that's what I'd fought for, was born healthy and perfect. But something broke inside me during labor. Something the doctors couldn't fix. Complications from stress, they said. From trauma. From carrying a child while living in fear for my life. I developed sepsis. Organ failure. They tried everything, but my body had endured too much. I'd survived Beatrice's plot only to lose the war anyway. Keisha held my hand as I got weaker. You fought so hard, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. You were so brave. Take care of my girls, I managed to say. Both of them. Don't let Henry near them until he proves he's different. Really different. I promise, Keisha sobbed. I promise, Judith. Tasha came to say goodbye, this fierce attorney who'd become a friend. You changed things, she told me. The laws about domestic conspiracy, about coercive control. Your case is being taught in law schools now. You saved other women. But I didn't feel like a hero. I felt tired. So tired. My daughters would grow up without their mother. Amara wouldn't remember me clearly, and Justice would never remember me at all. The injustice of that, after everything I'd survived, was almost funny. Almost. I love them, I whispered to the room, to God, to whoever was listening. Tell them I love them. Every day, Keisha promised. Every single day. Henry came to the hospital on the last day, escorted by his probation officer. He'd lost weight, looked older. I'm sorry, he said, standing in the doorway like he was afraid to come closer. I know that doesn't fix anything. I know I failed you in every way possible. But I need you to know, I never would have actually hurt you. I was weak and stupid and I let my mother manipulate me, but I wouldn't have pushed you. Maybe, I said, my voice barely audible. But you didn't protect me either. And that's the same thing. He nodded, tears falling. What do I tell our girls? Tell them their mother loved them more than anything. That she fought for them. That she was strong when it mattered most. I died on a Tuesday morning in April with spring sun streaming through the hospital window. 29 years old, 2 daughters, and a story that should never have been mine to tell. But here's what I need you to understand, whoever's reading this. Whether you're watching my story unfold on some screen or living a similar nightmare yourself, you're not paranoid. You're not overreacting. Something feels wrong, it probably is. Trust your instincts. Document everything. Tell someone. Ask for help before it's too late. I waited too long. I thought I could handle it alone, protect my marriage, keep my family intact. And maybe if I'd run the first night instead of gathering evidence, I'd still be here. But I also know the evidence mattered. Beatrice is in prison. Henry is getting help. The laws changed because I had proof. My daughters will inherit that insurance money eventually, blood money though it is. Keisha established a foundation in my name, helping women escape domestic situations, funding hidden cameras and legal fees in safe houses. Tasha still fights these cases, armed with my story as precedent. So maybe my death wasn't meaningless. Maybe Justice and Amara will grow up in a world slightly safer because their mother refused to stay silent. I hope Henry becomes the father they deserve. I hope therapy breaks whatever hold Beatrice had on him. I hope he tells them about the good times, the laughter, the love we had before it all went wrong. Because it wasn't all bad. That's the hardest part to explain. Henry and I had real love once. Real happiness. That's what made the betrayal so devastating. The man who made me laugh until I cried, who proposed on a beach at sunset, who cried happy tears when Amar was born. That man existed. But so did the man who said, "I need to think about it," when his mother suggested murder. People are complicated. Love is complicated. But your safety should never be negotiable. Your life should never be up for debate. If someone who claims to love you makes you feel afraid, leave. If you can't leave safely, call the police, call a friend, call a domestic violence hotline. Just don't stay silent. I wish I could watch my daughters grow up. I wish I could teach Amara to ride a bike and take Justice to her first day of school. I wish I could be there for graduations and weddings and grandchildren. But wishes don't change reality. My last gift to them is this story. This warning. This proof that their mother loved them enough to fight, even when fighting cost her everything. Tell them I was brave. Tell them I was strong. Tell them that love, real love, protects. It doesn't harm. It doesn't manipulate. It doesn't stand silent when evil speaks. And tell them that every time they choose courage over comfort, truth over peace, safety over silence, they honor my memory. That's my legacy. Not the tragedy but the lesson. Not the ending but the fight. I close my eyes one final time, Keisha's hand in mine, and I think of my girls. My beautiful girls. May they grow up fierce and vigilant. May they never doubt their instincts. May they always choose themselves first. Because I chose them. Until my very last breath, I chose my daughters. And that at least makes the ending bearable. I chose love. Ich chose tous. I chose life for them even as mine slipped away. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that has to be enough. Goodbye, my loves. Mama fought for you. Mama loved you. Always remember that. No matter what anyone tells you, no matter how the story gets twisted with time, your mama loved you more than anything in this world. And that love never dies. Looking back, maybe I should have seen this coming and handled it better from the start. But in the moment, this felt like my only option. What would you have done differently?